So does the thought of getting returns stop you from selling on eBay or any other platform? We're going to dive into that today,
That's right. We do get this question a lot on social media about returns.
especially because we do larger items. A lot of times our flips are 500, 1,000, $2,000. And they're like, oh, wait a couple days for that return. And last year we only had 3 returns and you won 2 of them. And so we're going to dive into kind of how to prevent returns.
Yeah. And how not to be scared
Yeah,
of
and
them.
don't be scared that it's part of business, they're gonna happen, but you can reduce the amount of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Disclosure, you guys, if you don't know our business model, we sell larger items typically and higher profit items. This we'll talk about a little bit more too. Somebody who's business model selling a lot of small items. So more volume and lower price on your items. It might be a little bit different, but where we're coming from is it's going to be higher value items, larger items that are higher value. So this is what works for us. We're going to give you guys kind of our playbook on this and how not to be scared of a return for
Yeah.
sure.
So we don't accept returns in our business. That doesn't mean that we don't get them and that we don't get like a not as described if that happens. Like we still have to deal with that they do happen, it's business, but we do our best to prevent those from happening. So we don't accept returns and a lot of people do, and that there's nothing wrong with that. And so it can help your items be seen more, especially if you have a lot of competition, if you're selling items like clothes and shoes that need to be sized right, and if they don't fit they want to return, like of course you're going to offer returns for those items and like whatever your window is, and that makes sense. But for our business model it doesn't really make sense to take returns. So
Yeah.
we want the buyer to know what they want before they get it, not change their mind on a $2,000 piece of equipment or appliance and be able to return it. So
That's it. So the biggest thing that we always go back to is under promise, over deliver. If you are doing that when you are selling, you should not have problems. That's where you are picking apart the item that you're selling. You're trying to show all the imperfections, whether that's pictures, whether it's in the description, you're labeling all that stuff. You are pretty much trying to turn a buyer away from your item before they do it. Having false expectations of the item, that is what you do not want. And you have to remember, buyers cannot see on eBay, buyers cannot see or touch this item until you get it shipped to them, until they pay for it, until they actually get it in the mail. That is the only time they get to see and touch this. So you really have to depict what the item is actually without overpromising it.
back in the day, he used to want to, you want to sell your item, so you're going to make it sound better than it is. With pictures, you can do amazing things in Photoshop and
They
make
always
things.
look better though.
They that's true. They always look better than the item really looks. So you want to make sure you're taking pictures if there's any imperfections on anything. If it doesn't look quite as good as your pictures, write that in the description too. But you also want to take the accurate pictures. And that's one thing that also is great with video, because you can show more with a video. We like to do videos now on our listings, and you can really show the actual, like what it looks like.
Absolutely.
We want, the buyer to be very happy and to get the item and it's in better condition than they thought. Not mint condition.
Yep.
We never say mint, right?
Nope, never. Excellent, great. I even steer away from great condition, guys, because you don't know what your definition of great is, or excellent is the buyer's that is getting that item. They have the same expectations. So you have to be very careful about using words like that.
Yeah. What was the first thing that you did? It was a larger item. Remember back a long time ago, you said mint condition and the buyer was
I
like,
did on a Nordic track.
oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
for like $1,700. And I thought it was mint condition. It was in great condition. And when the buyer got it, he's like, no, there's scratches on this. There's scuffs. There's scrapes. There's all kinds of stuff. So I got a request return on that. And that's one of those things. That's all growing pains and learning the school of hard knocks for me back in the day. So now we definitely under promise and over deliver. So I'm taking pictures of any scratch or scuff on the item that I can. And then I'm also putting it in the description. I'm saying stuff like, this is a used item. Please expect normal wear on this item because it is used. Please see pictures for condition, all that kind of stuff. You want to put that in the item in the description and have pictures of that so the buyer has the proper expectations for the item.
Because you don't want a $1,700 return.
Absolutely
because
not.
You told them that it was in mint condition.
Yeah.
So
and let me give kind of a mind shift on this too for you. For a larger, we sell something for $5,000 and the buyer asks for a return. That doesn't typically happen on higher profit items. That's like me going to a car lot and finding a $60,000 truck and them telling me they're going to sell it to me for $30,000. Typically the stuff that we're selling at around 50% of retail. Now, when the buyer does find this, first of all, he can't find it anywhere else. That's why he's buying it from us for 50% of retail. When they get that item, they're not going to want to return an item that they've got for 50% off of retail. because that's what they want. Like right now we have a Turbo Chef oven that we paid $400 for. We have it listed for, I think we have two of them, but I think one of them's like almost $10,000. The other one's like $8,500. These are new items. They cost over $20,000. I think between $20,000 and $23,000 new. We're giving it to somebody for half that price. Guys, they're not going to get this and change their mind when they get it. They're getting a great deal on this, so they're going to be happy with it because we're giving them a great deal on it. So that's what you do not have to worry about. Like if I'm buying a $10 shirt and I get it and I change my mind on it for whatever reason and I want to return it, that's totally different than something like what we are selling, the items that we're selling.
Yeah. Typically, if we do get a return request, it's because it's a damaged in shipping. It's a damage claim. So it's not a return request, even though like at first they might say it's broken and they do a case, item not as described. Yeah. And then we have to dig in deeper and ask, okay, what happened? Was it damaged on delivery, or what does the box look like? Or we have to kind of dig deeper to see if it is a return request for shipping.
So let's open that can of worms. What happens when your buyer gets the item and it is damaged? Guys, if you're doing everything right, so you've already under promised and you over delivered, you're not making any crazy claims about the item, so the item is exactly as described. When the buyer gets that item, it gets damaged in shipping. Okay, listen, if you are packaging it properly to the carrier's guidelines and you are paying the extra money for insurance, you have nothing to worry about because you're going to get your money back. The buyer's going to get their money back, and then somebody's going to get the item. Typically, it's you. You have that item. If the carrier does not take it when they pay you out for the insurance, sometimes they'll take the item and sometimes they won't. You can sell pieces off the item or throw it away, do whatever you want with the item. But typically, you're not going to lose money when you're doing everything the proper way.
Yeah, and a big hack, I guess, pro hack is if it is damaged, like with FedEx or UPS, you have them pick up the item. So you're not paying for shipping. The buyer's not paying for shipping. The carrier is paying for shipping to do a damage inspection.
This is huge on big items. You remember, we're selling larger items, higher profit. Could cost us $100 to ship something through FedEx or UPS.
We don't want that.
I don't want to pay that when somebody's upset with the item for whatever reason. And typically it's damaged. That's right. So that's when you call the carrier up and you have them do a damage. I think it's called a damage tag, where they'll actually pick up the item, do the inspection on it because you have insurance, and return it to you. You definitely want to do that so you are not paying the shipping to that buyer and then the shipping from the buyer back to you. You're not doing that. You're having the carrier, if they damaged it, you're having them pick it up, do the inspection, and then return it to you. So definitely a pro tip.
Yeah, because a lot of people get scared that, okay, well, now it's damaged. Now I got to go out this money for the label, or the buyer does. You don't want the buyer to do it because then they're going to be angry and then they're going to want to leave negative feedback, and you want them to have a good experience through the whole thing. And that's not brings us also to keeping communication. So it's kind of turned into a shipping claim down rabbit hole, but you just keep good communication with your buyers too. If they ask for a return request and you don't accept returns, you need to figure out why, and it's probably going to be shipping, and you kind of go down that rabbit hole. But just keep communication open. And you don't have to solve it right away either. So if they open the claim, get some time to think about it. I think we've talked about this before. Take some time, reevaluate, and then reply.
Consult with somebody, really talk to somebody, talk it out. Don't jump on the second somebody says, I
go give them a refund right
open
away.
A case and don't go through all that. Figure out exactly what's going on. Like Melissa touched on it. You got to dig deeper sometimes. Somebody might open a case and say, I want to return. They might not say anything else. That's where you got to send them a nice email and say, oh, I'm so sorry you're unhappy with this. Please let me know what's going on. I got to figure out what's going on. How can I help? How can we solve this problem? And then that's where they're going to say, hey, this thing showed up. The box is beat up. They got damage in shipping, and you're like, okay, well, no problem. I'm gonna call the carrier. They're gonna pick it up. They're gonna do an inspection on it and return it to me. As soon as I get it back, you'll get your refund, and I have insurance on it, so I'll get my money back. So you can go through that whole process. It really is trying to dig deeper on anything that you go through if it is for a return. So
yeah, and nobody likes
it's a headache.
It's a headache to go through a shipping claim, but as long as you get paid out, the buyer unfortunately gets their money. They get their money back, but unfortunately they don't get to keep the item, and that's what they wanted originally. So that, it is annoying, but nobody has to lose their money in that instance. And that really should be the most of your returns for like not as described. So if you do accept returns for, little or items, like obviously
fitment, if it doesn't fit right for shoes, shirts.
We understand like those, like
You can't change that.
Yeah.
But anything that we're selling, the only return request that we're going to get is something that is damaged in shipping. And at that point, like I said, if you're doing everything right, you're packaging it properly, you're paying for insurance, then you have nothing to worry about. So business models like ours, you should not worry about the returns. That should not stop you from selling stuff. The larger items, the higher profit items. Now, we can't talk that much for smaller items just because, like we said, it's fitment stuff. I think it's hard to sell something online and then not offer a chance for a return. Like if I'm buying a shirt and it's a medium, different manufacturers have different sizes, and I might try it on. It might be super tight, and I'm like, yeah, I can't wear this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we understand for different business models that you might have to deal with returns. But for us, we're trying to underpromise and overdeliver on everything that we're doing. So that's our goal when we're selling. And then we also pay for insurance and package properly. You should not have any issues when you have that model.
So yeah, we just wanted to address that part of like people on the internet always commenting that, they would be worried to sell something of that value because of returns. And one other thing that I think could really help ease that for you too is keep a buffer of money, like of your profits. Just keep it in the account. Make sure you let that time go by, and you should have a little cushion. So you shouldn't spend all the money that you get right away, and then you have that cushion in case a return does happen, because they will happen, or a shipping claim, and then you're ready for it. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So because I know a lot of times, especially when you're younger, you get that money and just spend
Blow
it, spend it. But when you're really trying to grow a business, even as a side hustle, it's always good practice to keep a buffer of money that you can pay out. If something does happen, you want to leave it probably for 30 days that you have that. So
absolutely. All right, guys, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for listening to today's episode, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day and keep on flipping.